Good morning, Scotland. Good morning, social media land. I hope you are well. It is Tuesday, the 19th of November, 2024, and it is still Baltic outside, so I'm kind of still inside. Why do we, as a nation, continue to accept a system that forces us into financial dependency while prioritising another country's agenda? Why do we stand by as Scotland's pensioners freeze, our communities crumble and our children's futures are sacrificed at the altar of Westminster austerity? These are not abstract injustices. They are a lived reality of the Union designed to exploit Scotland, to strip us of our potential and to deny us the dignity of self-determination. So I'm going to ask you, how much longer can we tolerate this? Scotland's pensioners, who should be enjoying the twilight of their lives with dignity, are instead being abandoned. The winter fuel payment, once a lifeline for so many, has been slashed, leaving countless Scots to shiver through cold winters. And if that wasn't enough, free TV licences for the over 75s have been stripped away, heaping more financial pressure on those who can least afford it. Not that many Scots actually pay for their TV licence. These are decisions made in Westminster, a government that prioritises English needs while leaving Scotland to bear the consequences. Why should our elderly suffer because of policies that we neither wanted nor voted for? This is the reality of the Union. It's a system built on financial control where even Scotland's devolved powers are shackled by Westminster's grip on the purse strings. The Barnett Formula ensures Scotland's budget is tied to spending decisions in England. When Westminster imposes cuts, Scotland's funding is slashed in turn. This means that when England prioritises shift, our public services, our NHS, our schools, our councils are forced to operate with an ever-tightening budget. How is this fair? How is this sustainable? Consider the public sector. Scotland's government has fought hard to protect our workers, averting strikes and offering better pay deals to nurses, teachers and council staff. But these victories come at a cost. The funds to pay for these essential increases are squeezed out of an already limited budget, a budget restricted by Westminster austerity agenda. And when Westminster increases costs like employers' national insurance contributions, it's Scots who are forced to pay the price, draining resources away from other critical areas like education and healthcare. So you understand, when the increase of national insurance contributions go through, all those increases in salaries for the public sector workers will have a financial price tag upon them as well. And the Scottish Government has to find that extra money to pay back to Westminster in the form of those increased national insurance contributions. And that is around about £300 million. Does this sound like a partnership of equals? And then what about our local councils? They have been gutted by the cascading effects of Westminster cuts. Libraries are shuttered up, community centres closed and vital public spaces neglected, all because Scotland's budget is dictated by decisions made elsewhere. In rural and disadvantaged communities, these losses are devastating, cutting off lifelines that many rely upon. Why should a child in the Highlands lose access to a library because Westminster decided to cut funding to councils in England? The devastation spreads to our NHS, where Scotland's efforts to protect healthcare services are consistently undermined by austerity. As when Westminster slashes funding in the NHS in England, the knock-on effect is felt here, with reduced budgets and longer waiting time. Mental health services, already stretched to breaking point, are now practically inaccessible for so many Scots. These aren't numbers on a balance sheet. These are lives. families, communities being failed by a system that does not work for us. And what about the welfare system? Westminster's control over benefits like universal credit has left thousands of Scots in poverty. Food bank use is at record levels, with families, pensioners relying on emergency parcels just to survive. Cuts to housing benefit have driven more people into homelessness, making Scotland's effort to build affordable housing feel like a cruel joke. How can we solve these problems when we're chained to a system that actively creates them? Every aspect of life in Scotland is constrained by this union. Even where we have devolved powers, they are limited by the financial stranglehold of Westminster. This is not a partnership. This is exploitation, pure and simple. So let me ask you again, why do unionist Scots still accept this? Why do they defend a system that robs our pensioners of warmth, our workers of fair pay, and our children of opportunity? It's not enough to say that we can't afford independence. The truth is, we can't afford this union. Independence is not a dream, it's a necessity. Scotland deserves better, and we can't wait any longer. It blows me away to think that we have fellow Scots that think that the decisions made in Westminster that have these horrendous knock-on effects to our nation are acceptable. I find it so difficult to understand why they don't want their own country, their own nation, to benefit from its own wealth, to prop up all of our public services, to make lives better. They believe in the sound bites of "you can't afford it, you're too wee, you're too stupid, and you can't afford independence." The truth of the matter is we can, and we just have to keep fighting until we get it. There's a blog attached to this video, and you can get to read that at saursascot.com/blog. It's got a little bit more detail and it's a little bit more interesting than just me rambling on. Tomorrow we will be looking directly at the history of the Union, the Darien scheme, the fact that the Royal Navy was stationed in the Firth of Forth and there was English troops on the border waiting to come across if Scotland did not sign the treaty. Also, after the treaty was signed, all those lovely military roads connecting all the forts in the Highlands used to suppress and subjugate Scottish people up there, because that's where the uprisings happened. And then those same roads being used as a brutal highway during the Highland clearances. These are things that you're not taught in school. These are things that you can learn here. So until then, have a great day.
I can't get no sleep.